Hello, mindful friends. Today we're going to be talking about our expectations and how they affect our enjoyment of and our presence for what's actually happening in our lives. So expectations are hard to avoid. We've talked about this before, how they're just kind of a part of our system, right? We're kind of trained to look at what might happen. We're trained by past experiences, by people's opinions, by images we see, by ideals that kind of tell us this is what should happen in the future. This is what to look forward to. And so we have kind of an idea of where we're going, what we want to be building, kind of our goals for the future. And we have concepts or ideas about how it will turn out and what would be best for us or the people in our lives. These are okay, right? Because they give us kind of a general concept of where we're headed, what we're working towards, and what we would like to see. But sometimes when these get too dominant, right? They're too powerful. They're all we can see and they're the only option we are kind of expecting or seeing for our future. They get in the way of us being able to appreciate and live well in the actual conditions that we are living in the present moment. So let me give you kind of an example of if we have an expectation about how somebody should act in our presence, or what they should be saying or doing for us. And we have this image in our head that says this is the one right outcome, or this is the way that would help me to feel best here. Now we have this projection in our mind, this story that we've told ourselves of this is how this should go. We have a projected expectation of it. And now the situation arises, the person is here. We show up for that situation with this projected expectation that now we're kind of implanting onto what's happening in this moment. Now, when we're seeing our interaction with this person, all we can see are the differences between what we expected, the shoulds, and what's actually happening. We see all these gaps between our desired outcome and actual outcome. And so now what do we start doing is we experience this situation with disappointment or with views of what didn't happen. We're seeing the gap between what should happen, what actually happened. So we see problems all over. Versus if we show up, we have kind of an idea, we have a concept, right? Can't avoid that of what we imagine will occur. But we arrive very aware of what these expectations were and very conscious and intentional, knowing that that's not always the case and it's not the only way that this could happen. Now we show up with this person. We recognize that we might have had this expectation, but we're also very open to what's happening in this moment. So we have the interaction. There is a difference between our predicted and the actual outcome, but we're not blinded by only being able to see the differences between expected and actual. We can be with the actual and let ourselves live the moment, adapting to and kind of accepting what's actually playing out. So now leaves a lot more mental space and a lot more intentionality for us to be with this experience, asking ourselves, what's happening right here? How's that playing out within my body? If I live as my authentic self, what would that look like in my response? You are now very open, very flexible and adaptable to making the most of this experience, of this moment. Whereas if we showed up with our projected expectation, this is how you should act, this is what you should say, this is how it should go, this is how I will respond, which a lot of us do in preparation. We think that it's preparing us, getting us ready so that we'll show up better. But what it often does is now, instead of being open, adaptable, flexible, we are now closed and narrow. We see the one expectation, and it really gets in our way of being able to show up as our best self for what is occurring. Because now our focus and a lot of our mental space is going into the thoughts of, this is not right, this is not what I wanted, this is, here's where it's going wrong. That takes a lot of your focus away from, hey, what is happening? How could I respond well in this situation? And when we're in that closed state, now we don't give ourselves a lot of open avenues of where to go with it, how to kind of, like I said, adapt to the situation and move forward in a positive way. We're stuck back in the past going, I expected this and you showed up like this, and our conversation gets pulled in that direction. You did this wrong, this wasn't as it aligned, versus a forward-thinking mind that says, all right, it was different. Let's not focus on everything that was a gap between reality and expectation. Let's focus on what did happen and what my intentional forward action is from here. Where do we go from here? How can we create the next good step from here? So how do we help ourselves with this when we know we come into most everything with an expectation or an idea of how it's going to work out? Is that instead of clinging to it and that our only good solution is that one, and bringing ourselves into that situation with this kind of narrow view of one desired outcome, we recognize, acknowledge, you can even go through it with yourself, seeing, here's my expectation, I know that that's what it is, here's what I'm thinking is going to happen, and I know that in that moment, this might appear to be my kind of projected norm or outcome, what my should for the situation. You can still notice that because it probably is going to be there no matter how much work we do. We have a visualized outcome for things. But if we're aware that that's exactly what it is, our imagined outcome, we've generated it in our mind, that can actually help us. Here's where my hiccups might be with that, where I might get stuck. And we practice that when we go in, I'm going to remain open to what does happen. I have this image, but I'm also staying open and saying my expectation is not the only possible outcome. And we focus more on who do I want to be in that situation? What would I like to be experiencing by the end of it? So we go into more of like what you would like the internal experience to be and how you show up versus into the controlling expectation of what every external condition should be. So who do I want to be in this? What do I want to reflect about myself? And what do I want to feel by the end? Now, those kinds of things and intentions actually can play out no matter what the external condition or experience is. And it helps you to stay aligned and intentional even when your expected outcome does not occur. So it happens a little different from that you can still show up as your most authentic self and heart-centered self in any situation that arises. If you enjoy these teachings and would like to join us for group sessions or individual coaching, you can find us at newleafmindfulness.com. You can also find these teachings and many more in my book, Living from the Heart, Healing Ourselves So We Can Heal the World. You can find that anywhere you buy your audio or print content. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon.